Senator Mark Warner, who serves on the Budget Committee. He was part of the bipartisan negotiating team, really leading the infrastructure deal. Senator, thank you very much. Does that capture what happened from your understanding? You must have been part of some of those calls on Friday, putting it all back together.
Well, there were a lot of calls on Friday, I can assure you. But as you know, I've been through this a few times. I think about this, many of us in this same group where we kind of built trust. We're involved in the last COVID package, the November-December time frame. None of these things ever seem to go in a straight line. There are always bumps. And I think that got worked through. And echoing what my good friend Jeanne Shaheen said earlier, and I say this to my Democratic friends, there is so much in this infrastructure bill to like, not just roads and bridges and water and sewer and broadband, but there's over $100 billion in clean energy related items, things like capping abandoned wells that leak methane, things like electric vehicle infrastructure, things like trying to make sure there's going to be electric school buses across the world over the next 5 years. Will they be built in China, or will they be built in the United States? Resiliency, coastal areas across America, in my state, Hampton Roads, huge challenges with sea level rise, enormous dollars put to use. And even when the numbers are all added up, what are not included, and this was one of the areas that kind of threw us off track for a couple of days, we have what's in effect an infrastructure bank that will generate about $200 billion of additional infrastructure spending because it's leveraged spending. We didn't know how to categorize it, so we didn't include it in terms of the top line number, but that will add to more infrastructure as well around the country.
Now, we were surprised by the president saying that he was not going to sign the compromise bill unless he had the reconciliation bill, the larger family program as well.
Well, we've all known that there was going to be a two-track process. I've been spending, virtually every waking hour working with my Republican friends on this infrastructure package. But I also happen to be the only of the so-called moderates that sit on the Budget Committee. So now I've got to roll up my sleeves and work with friends like Bernie Sanders and say, okay, what are the areas that didn't get covered, especially around human infrastructure, or around even moving further on taking a once-in-a-generation opportunity to address climate change? How do we actually go at a tax code that will be fairer? Remember, on the infrastructure bill, it was made more difficult because the Republicans said no tax increases. President Biden said no user fees, things like gas taxes or some minimum fee on electric vehicles. So that made the pay-fors a little more challenging. On this next bill, on the so-called reconciliation bill, and I say this as somebody who spent longer in business than I have in government, it is just not fair, our current tax code that allows American corporations to be 35 out of 35 industrial nations in terms of the percent of revenues they pay into funding the federal government compared to all of our industrial competitors. There's a way we can make that tax code fairer, not make American business taxes the highest by any means, but put us back kind of more in the middle of the pack that will allow us to generate revenues to pay for some of these items that didn't get included in the infrastructure bill.
How are you reading what Senator McConnell said today? He seemed to be signaling support, and certainly Senator Cassidy on Meet the Press yesterday was saying that in the bottom line will be that Senator McConnell will go for this. Are you reading him as supporting it, or simply not saying this is an issue, a party line issue, you Republicans who might be wavering, come on back and let's oppose the Biden agenda?
Well, Andrea, again, this isn't our first rodeo for either one of us.
I know.
We've never seen any of these go from point A to point B to point C without hiccups, bumps. There will be more twists and turns. But this infrastructure bill, which is going to be so broadly popular, this is the one area where Americans of all political persuasions agree. I think we've come together, and as Senator Shaheen said, this is the largest infrastructure funding bill in our country's history, and it will be spent out over the next 5+ years. I don't think it will have the kind of inflationary pressures that some have urged, because we didn't get into this problem overnight. We're not going to get out of this problem overnight, but this will give us the sustainable, at least next 5 to 8 year funding stream that we need to make sure that, quite honestly, when we fly into America's airports, when we drive on our highways, when we think about the connectivity of broadband, that we once again become the world leader, because in many of these areas, it feels like we've almost become a third world nation in terms of the quality of some of the disrepair in our infrastructure.
Do you have any worries that the Speaker's going to have trouble on the House side? She's by very thin margins, and there's a lot of pressure for doing the bigger bill in literally in tandem.
Well, the Speaker does have thin margins. I would never underestimate Nancy Pelosi's ability to get things done. She has proven that time and again. And there's a balancing act here. She has the challenge of a progressive wing, but there's also the problem solvers in the House of, I believe, 66 members, half of them Democrats, who are very much more kind of in the moderate camp. I think at the end of the day, we get this infrastructure bill through the process, and remember the reconciliation. The Democrats only. The first step on that is getting a budget resolution passed. That doesn't mean we're there, but it does give some of the top lines. I'm committed to working with Senator Sanders and others on the committee, to try to work through that process. Hopefully, in the month of July, at least at the committee level, so that we can give that kind of assurance to colleagues that, hey, we're going to get a couple packages done. They may not be they may not have everything that Senator Sanders wanted. On the other hand, we didn't get everything we wanted as Democrats in the infrastructure bill. That's the nature of compromise. But we've already seen President Biden do with the American Rescue Plan back in March, historic legislation. We've now got a historic infrastructure bill. We've got a very, very aggressive plan around both taxes and some of this human infrastructure that's not been dealt with. I give Joe Biden pretty darn good marks for the first 6 months of his administration.
Okay, Senator Warner, and I know you felt inspired really after attending the funeral service of your colleague and friend, Republican John Warner, no relative, but a good friend, and that got you over the finish line late Wednesday.
It really did, Andrea. I mean, this was John Warner was a great statesman, a great Virginian. The fact that so many of us had been in that funeral, and there were moments where I thought I was going to pull my hair out and say, we're not going to get there. But I remembered the mantra that has served me well in my political career. What would John Warner do? Well, John Warner would have hung in. I hung in, and a couple hours later, we had a deal.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that memory. Senator Mark Warner.